What's up, everybody? Welcome to Press Pass Live number 100. We made it, friends. 100th episode of Press Pass Live. Many years in the making, guys. Welcome to Press Pass Live 100. Let me quickly, as always, bring in my two outstanding co-hosts. Mr. Dawson is missing in action today. The wife has him working hard, but we do have Mr. Maniac and Mr. D. Wayne with us. Fellas, how you doing on a Saturday afternoon?
Doing great.
All good on my end.
We do have the kitty cats that are attacking D. Wayne, so if we hear somebody scream or yell, it's okay. We think he's going to be just fine. We do have medical attention. Stand by on ready just in case things go haywire. But, guys, thank you so much for being with me today. We got a lot to talk about. And some of our show got cut off last week, and so we were trying to kill the video. And then Maniac made us these really cool profile pictures. Well, you can kind of see they don't quite fit. But we're going to fix that for the next show. There just wasn't enough time to get it fixed, and we definitely wanted to get a show out to you because I'm going to be gone all week next week until late in the week. I'll be back on the weekend, so we'll have time to get it ready for the next show. But so much happened on the last show that got cut off. I definitely wanted to go back and spend some time kind of talking about some of those things. But before we get there, I figured I would just kind of do a little bit of a state of the league address from the commissioner. I did this last year as a video, and guys really ended up super enjoying it and asked me to kind of do it more often. And maybe it's something I can try to make time to do at the end of each season just to kind of say, hey, here's where we are, here's where we're going, and here's how things are going. I think that Madden 18 was a lot of a learning curve for all of us, but as difficult as things may have been with the gameplay itself, the league was as strong as ever. And when I say strong as ever, I'm going back to 2001 whenever this community really started as the OMFL back in the PC days. Look, we had back in our heyday in the PC days where there were leagues galore. I mean, we literally had a waiting list of over 100. We had 4 OMFL leagues going at one time. There was OMFL, OMFL 2, OMFL Custom, which was custom teams, and then OMFL College, which was college teams, and a waiting list of over 100. We had websites. Every team had their own individual website that they would update themselves. It was a lot of fun way back then, and that was kind of the heyday of the Madden online franchise. And I compare what we've just come through in Madden 18 to that. I mean, this community as a whole has grown to over 100 members. Our league was as strong as it had ever been. We really didn't lose that many owners, and the owners that we did lose were very few over gameplay, most of them just because life had to take them away. And at the same time, we've seen a lot of old familiar faces get to come back and get to rejoin us, whether it was Beal coming back after having to take care of some family situations, whether D-Money, Gaddy, like a lot of old faces that a lot of you may not know or recognize, but I definitely do. These are old faces I remember back from the old OMFL days. So we are really in a good spot. We added the NBC as a community, and they've really been a great addition. I mean, we've grown into the H1Z1 Fortnite groups, the WWG, or it used to be the WWG, which is now the GFW. The wrestling league that we have is as strong as it ever has been with the most members that we've ever had. We started a NASCAR league. The FIFA Pro Team made its way back. Just so many really good things. The OMFL 2, which Maniac started and Chaotic has kind of taken over to help him with. It's going as strong as ever, and it's really doing the exact thing that we needed it to do and wanted it to do. There's just a lot of really great things to be proud of. We had to do a donation drive the other day, and in just over, under 2 weeks, now, we really raised plenty of money to take care of all the needs that we have. We still are taking donations. There's always going to be more needs, and all this money just goes up and sits there as much as we need it. And so I was able to do T-shirts this year, and we've got a couple of guys got some T-shirts that are out on order to them, and just lots of really good stuff. Some of the best graphics that we've ever done. We've stepped up our video game. We've tried we've stayed the most consistent to podcast that we've ever done. The later last couple seasons, those Game of the Week's videos were harder and harder for me to get to, but we still had the most content that I've ever been able to produce with the team of guys that we've ever been able to do. I feel like we really were able to clean up our rules, make it as simple and yet as fair as we possibly can. I feel like I really have enjoyed the move away from sim over to fair play, and really letting that be the filter that all of us filter everything through. The forums are as active as we ever have had. The blogs, like just everything has been really, really, really great. We've even got a couple of new guys who've joined recently who are going to help us with our website, with our videos, and with the different production things that we are doing. And at the end of the day, that's what we need. We just need more people who, and Maniac, we're going to get to you in just a little bit about what you're doing with the top 20 coaches, but that's the exact type of thing that we are lacking here. I feel like, not tooting my own horn, this is who I am. Like, I feel like there are not many coaches who outwork me. There may be coaches who are commissioners, I should say, who work just as hard as me, but there's no commissioner that will outwork me in the building of an entire community. I don't just focus on one league. I actually run a handful of different leagues here, from the golf league, which is another one that I didn't touch on, which is as big as it's ever been and as strong as it's ever been, to the wrestling league, to this, and we produce an hour and a half to 2 hour show every 10 days for the wrestling league that's all video produced. And so just a lot of great work, but what we're lacking are guys like what Maniac is doing that'll just come in, create these really awesome additions to the league, to the community, that they take ownership of, that they just kind of make their own. They may ask for some advice from me, or may ask for some how-tos, but mainly it's their thing that they run with. And those are the types of things that I'm really wanting us to grow into. I'm reaching out to a handful of people that I know are really good at these types of things, trying to have some very intentional partnerships. I know that there are a lot of new Madden, I don't know what you would call them, but communities, hubs that are really promoting a lot of the Madden community content, and I'm all for that. But that's also what we've created here, where guys who play Madden but also play other games can really connect and have a safe place. And two of the groups, or three of the groups, I think that gets shown really, really well in Madden. We don't have a ton of opportunities, though Maniac and I have kind of talked about doing this more. We'll have a Madden release party. We're going to try my very best, as much as my wife will allow me to have maybe some more games that we broadcast and talk, have some commentary over the top of. That went really, really well. Maniac jumped on there with me, and that just went really good for the Super Bowl. I know we don't have the best equipment in the world to work with, but what we do have, I feel like we can figure out ways to make this work and get out some content. But also, because Madden just is more of a one-on-one game, we don't have those opportunities. But in the GFW, in the FIFA Pro Team, and in the H1Z1 groups, those are the groups I'm involved the most in. That's where you really see this community come together. Like at H1Z1, we played for almost 4 hours last night. There was 5 or 6 of us on, and just getting on the mic and just talking and just having a good time playing games. And so that's what we're going to try to do in Madden, in the OMFL, with the broadcast games, because I do want to find more ways as a community that we can get together and we can have those opportunities. But I do feel like we're in a great place. There are definitely some gameplay issues. I have to talk to Chaotic. Hopefully tonight he and I will be able to touch base. Chaotic's over our FPR and over the OMFL too. He and I have got some things to figure out just with workflow, and there's a handful of owners. Every owner here is getting an invite back. You will get a personal invite from me offered to you, hopefully within the next week. But some of them will have caveats. Some of them will have some conditions with it, because there are definitely some gameplay issues that have to get fixed as we move into Madden 19, and some things that I'm hoping we can clean up and do much, much better. But overall, this has been one of the best Madden seasons. I don't know if season's a good word to use, but Madden games that we've had, kind of a year from when this all kind of really started 2 years ago. But the last year we really stepped it up and grew the community with the NBC and adding all these additional leagues. Things are just in a really, really good spot. I just want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you for you guys who give up your Fridays and Saturdays to do podcasts and jump on me even through all the technical difficulties that we have sometimes. And just thank you to everybody who donated. I did a whole thank you show for that, but thank you again. We're just in a really good place right now. I hope that we continue to get to know the NBC guys more and more. They're so fast-paced. They're less content-driven, but they really have put out some content as of late, and you can see it right here on the main page. I know that they've been involved in the other leagues, and we've gotten to know them that way. And look, there's other communities out there that, again, I'm talking to just see if there's a way that we can partner together and pull together our resources to really grow what we do. But I'm just super appreciative. So happy and glad that we're in a really good place. And look, there's even some old faces that we're seeing again. Not only old faces that I know, but even Houday has popped back up. He seems to be in good health. He was, in case you're wondering, offered a spot in the OMFL 2. To me, at least, he politely declined. I think he wants in the OMFL, but unfortunately, things have changed since he's left, and it's just not the way things roll anymore. But hopefully he'll reconsider. I know he's got a lot of people in his ear talking to him and trying to have him reconsider. And I just feel like we're in a good space. I appreciate everybody, and appreciate your supporting the show, supporting what we do with your time, your energies, your efforts, and absolutely with your finances, because nobody owes us anything here, and anything that you guys give, I completely understand that it's just out of the kindness of your heart and that you enjoy this place. And I look forward to the day that maybe we can monetize this in a way that this is what I get to do full time, and I can just continue to grow this and make better equipment and better programming, and get to just do this full time for you guys and get this community to thousands of people that can come enjoy what we've built. So you guys have heard me ramble now for a few minutes, but that's kind of my state of the league address. Before we kind of move on, I do want to open it up, though, and let both of you have your opportunity to kind of voice your opinions about where we are, who we are, what we're doing, and kind of where we're going as we prepare for Madden 19, which has kind of been, August and September are kind of those caveat months where everything resets. It's kind of our quote-unquote fiscal year, so to speak. Golf Club 2 is dropping in August. Madden's dropping in August. FIFA drops in September. What Red Dead Redemption's coming out this fall. WWE comes out in October. So this is like really the time where everything resets and we get those fresh new games. So what do you guys feel about where we are and what you think?
Go ahead, Dwayne.
Oh, well, I mean, I think you said a lot of it, Nate. I think we do have a lot going on. I mean, we have just a lot in this community in general now. It's grown enormously since I joined 2 years ago. It's gotten, there's just so much more that I guess as a community we bring to the table in so many different aspects. But as in our league in general, kind of like you said, August and September is kind of our reset. We kind of, we're starting up a new Madden per se and figuring out everything. And I've seen some people really anxious. I seen people asking the other day about when we were going to start, the new league up, and it's not quite as simple as when Madden comes out that the next Monday we start the league up. Not quite that simple. But I do like seeing the excitement all around, which usually you get this kind of excitement when a new Madden comes out or a new season starts out. Everybody's, I guess you say, everybody's hopes are high. Everybody's ready to get it going. And like I said, this is really, I hate to, I always look at it's the most fun part to me, because this is when guys, you see a lot of people who aren't quite as talkative all year. They become more talkative right now. I've seen people in the chat the last couple of days that I haven't seen say more than a few words there in a long time, and I kind of hope that they can keep that up and talk like that all year. It can be hopeful, but yeah, I think it's a real good thing, and the growth we've had, and we were just talking about Maniac's list he's revealing and how many people are looking at it, and I just think it's a good thing for our league in general, how as big as we're expanding.
Yeah, I'm with Dwayne as well. I really think that it's exciting to see the league, the community as a whole, growing the way it has and stuff. With additions to the Madden Ballers Club and stuff, I was actually playing over there with them and stuff. They're a great group of guys. Uh, uh, they have a really good commissioner there with Fude, and he does a great job, and he's definitely added with his guys and stuff another dimension to the community. And I have to also, say with Dwayne, with the chat and stuff, seeing guys get on and communicating and getting that camaraderie going, with the brotherhood and stuff that is the OMFL, the grown folks and stuff. That's really what it's all about. And seeing the excitement, we got Madden is basically, I think, if I'm counting right, 19 days away that releases for everyone. It's a little bit sooner than that for those that are getting the Hall of Fame edition, but to see guys anticipating and ready and waiting and seeing that kind of pull everybody together, it's awesome, and it's awesome to be a part of, and I'm really enjoying being a part of the community.
Yeah, and both of you guys are so key. And look, you brought back the OMFL 2 after many years of OMFL Madden purgatory, and really got it going, and before you had to step away to help take care of mom and other situations. And look, we're glad that guys like you are able to come back, and that's the kind of community that I want here. Like, life happens and things happen, and sometimes guys need a break or they need to step away, but we want to make sure they always have a place to come back to. I think I could be totally wrong here, but I think maybe Dux is considering coming back to the OMFL too. He's not somebody that enjoys Madden enough to play year-round, and so the OMFL 2 could be a good fit, and I hope he does, right? Dux adds a lot to our community, and he's a good player. And look, I hope Hude comes back. That's the kind of community that we want here. So enough of the love fest. Let's go ahead and move on to something that got cut off on the last show, which was so freaking frustrating with me before my computer decided, I'm just going to go ahead and restart right now. We did talk about imports and Hall of Fame people and all that fun stuff. So the OMFL Season 79 Awards Show did come out this past week. If you haven't watched that, please do so. Man, this thing gave me trouble this time. I don't know why, but there's a lot of effort that goes into these videos, and we make them to really have something special for you guys. So I hope that you go and you check this one out. Let me go ahead and kill this volume. I don't want that volume to kill us. But on that awards show, not only did we give our yearly awards, which, by the way, I don't want to let any cat out of the bag. But are you still working on your idea, Maniac? Is that maybe going to get unveiled for Madden 18?
We're talking about the trophy case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've still got it in the works. I've just got to get award winners, photos for team and stuff, getting it together. But it's almost ready. It's almost ready to reveal. So
you guys,
I think it's gonna be something cool.
No, I agree. You guys are gonna love it whenever he gets it. I've seen kind of some sneak peeks, and if you've been on the chat at the same time as him, you might have seen the same sneak peeks that he's posted. But part of that every year, he's going to do that for every Madden, but also every year we put out this awards show. And since it's the last Madden, we also added in the Hall of Fame list and also the Human Hall of Fame. And so the Hall of Fame is something I want to kind of talk a little bit about, since we talked about it on the last show and then it got cut off. And two players were inducted this past year. Forbes, which was my receiver with the Saints, somebody that I brought over with me from Madden 17. Just a really great player, very dominant. This man, though, had a couple seasons where he stayed hurt. Got hurt he probably missed, 15, 16, 17 games total. But it kind of added up over the 5 or 6 seasons that we were able to get in. But he still put up the kind of numbers that left an imprint on this franchise, this CFM, I should say. And so he made it into the Hall of Fame. I think total we had 5 nominations, some really great players, some deserving players, but the caveat was that they had to have 4 of the 5 votes or 5 of the 6 votes, whatever the number was. I think it was 5 of 6 to be able to get voted in, and only 2 were able to get voted in. I think we're going to see them right here. So, yeah. It was Forbes with the Saints, and then the very dynamic playmaker with the Seahawks. I'm forgetting his name. His name's slipping my brain. It was trying to buy me some time. What was it? Kesey, that's what it was. Kesey, wide receiver. I was looking at that Seahawks roster today. Here he is right here, 287 receptions, 6,100 yards, 64 touchdowns in 4 seasons. I was looking at that Seahawks roster, and it just was mind-blowing. He had 4 players, starters and backups at defensive end with 99 break tackles. Just crazy. But what do you guys think about the Hall of Fame class that came out this year? What did you think about what is a Hall of Famer? What kind of is the thing that you think about whenever you vote for Hall of Famers, yes or no? And what do you think about this class of Forbes and Kesey?
Go ahead, Maniac.
Well, me personally, like if I'm looking at a vote, to get a Hall of Famer guy, he's got to be somebody that's just been a dynamic player in the league. That is basically he has reinvented how you play against a player. He has to be somebody that's going to change the game and reinvent the way that you're going to play defense versus him or play offense versus him. And you can see with the 2 guys that got nominated and voted in, you have that. I mean, Kesey just lit the OMFL world on fire. 287 catches, 6,100 yards, and 64 touchdowns is insane. But he changed the way you played the Seattle Seahawks, and that was one of the keys to Mo's success. Just one of those things that helped him get over the edge. And he said it in the chat several times. That he just got really blessed to get a very good team and to have those guys that were impact players like that on his team that helped him get over the edge and stuff. And not to take away from Mo, but obviously if you got a guy that's able to stretch the field like Kesey, you're going to win some games. And then on top of that, Forbes, I thought he was definitely deserving. Tank Forbes, he was the number 1 guy for you basically the whole season, but he also put up some great numbers as well. And he was more of he did stretch the field some, but to me, he was a big, number 1 big receiver that, just kind of took over the game, and he would get 10 catches a game, and just keep the chains moving, kind of like that Michael Irvin, Dez Bryant type.
Yeah, he was Dez Bryant.
Yeah. And so, you got somebody like that on your team, you're able to kind of help control the clock, control the game and stuff. And I know you don't give yourself a lot of credit, and I know you did struggle at times, but you were very good on offense. You were like one of the best players on offense in this Madden, and I know you don't give yourself credit for that, Nate. But when I played against you, I think we played three times in the season and stuff. You were extremely hard to play and corral because this basically this one guy right here. He was always open, always making the first down catch, keeping the chains going. And here I am on defense thinking like, I got to get him off the field because if he gets momentum and he gets going, I'm going to have some problems. So that was my key when I played the Saints was to focus on Forbes. And again, he's one of those guys that changed the way you prepared to play the team.
Yeah, I think Maniac said it well right there. I'm going to just go ahead and jump on Forbes since we're already on him. My key was to hurt him every time. I just want you to know that it was just to hurt him, and that wasn't on purpose apparently. But it did happen like that. It seems like every time we played Forbes this last Madden, he would get hurt, kind of like Nate, attributed to if he did up and down seasons, mostly just because he would miss a game or two. But you compare him and Kesey are just 2 different receivers and 2 different playing styles. As in Kesey relied on speed and his agility to just create separation. Forbes used more of a, I guess it's almost like a game awareness. That route running. It's a lot more, kind of like you said, Des Bryant, who doesn't create separation anymore, speed. That was a lot like Forbes. Forbes got open, but got open different ways, and he was such a big body compared to Kesey. Both those guys are well deserving. Both those guys were #1 options their whole career. And like Maniac said, there was somebody you had to game plan to stop. Forbes probably had a tough road because he didn't have, a Reggie Datko on the other side to take a little pressure off.
Well, his last season he had Adams, which was a super underrated guy that I almost took with me as an import because that dude was, he's so good. I did not want to leave him back. But you're right, he didn't have another 99 overall guy like the Seahawks had.
Yeah, you talking about you had Adams over there, and me playing you this last year, I was almost going to let Adams try to beat me over Forbes. Anybody but Forbes try to beat me. But yeah, both them receivers were both Hall of Fame worthy. There was a couple more guys that I honestly thought they might get there. I thought they might get the votes to do it. But like I said, these two guys made the cut. I know Outlaw was pretty upset about Braxton Leach not making it. And then we have pretty much anonymous votes on who makes it. I thought Leak was a great player. If in my mind he was a Hall of Fame worthy guy. But like I said, people have different credentials. They have different ways of judging players. And I'm not gonna lie, people know I'm very. Everybody knows I'm very safety biased. So that might have been where I was leaning with Leak on that one. But these two guys that did make it, they're very well deserving. You really, like I said, they could go on any team and be a #1 receiver and be an impact player. And it'll be a different Madden, not seeing Kesey and Forbes in Madden 19. It'll be different.
Yeah, I think that, excuse me, every player nominated was definitely worthy, but it's just not the way it works. You can't let everybody in, then it wouldn't have any kind of meaning. But definitely, I think that just because you had a player that put up the stats that you could nominate him speaks volumes. I mean, there was only 5 or 6 nominations total, and everybody got to bring over an import, plus everybody had 6 drafts worth of players. So there was hundreds of players to choose from, and only 6 were nominated. So look, I think it's a special thing. Those players are still noted in our history as players that were nominated for the Hall of Fame, and so they still will be memorized forever, but they definitely just didn't have the stats to get in. I think there was only a couple of players that didn't get any votes to get in. Most of them did get some votes, and some of those votes were actually very close. So, I think it's again, I think these are one of the neat things that we've done here that just adds to what we do. The imports, the Hall of Fame, like all of those things really add to what we do. Let's do this. Let's unveil your coach's top 20. So I don't want to steal any of your thunder, but these are one of this is a great thing that we've added here. I really want to think over the next kind of probably 8-10 days, whatever, 15 days with Maniac about what a Madden release party could look like. I'm hoping I can get the game like right at release night. I think that's going to be a thing. I've already kind of taken the day off that day, and so I'm super excited about making like a whole weekend out of it as much as we can. But as we kind of have this downtime and build excitement and get ready, this new thing that you've created, along with some other ideas that we can talk about much later in the show. Well, let me just talk about it right now, and then I'll turn it over to you to talk about the top 20. So a couple of things that we're going to be adding are that we're kind of thinking through about how we can do. One of them is definitely going to be either a Pro Bowl or a all Madden team. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to get the top 5 from every position statistically, from every position from each conference, and post them on a Google form, much like Maniac did for this coach's top 20, and you will actually get to vote for the players that you want to get in. And the only caveat is we're going to say you cannot vote for your own player, because then everybody would just vote their own guys if they're in there, and it just would lose some meaning. So, and we're going to give away some XP awards for those players. One of the things that we'll do probably on the next show is I'll kind of really break down the new incentive plan, but to just kind of give some foreshadowing, we're going to do less in-game XP. We're going to really probably tone those down, especially those end of the season awards where guys are racking up 20, 30,000 XP for making the Pro Bowl in game and for, winning Rookie of the Year and all these other things. We're going to tone those down either very dramatically or maybe even off. And instead, we're going to give you an opportunity to earn those through content and through voting and having your players voted on. And so we're going to give you the XP, but just in a different way than what the game did. I think what we're trying to do is we're having to at least acknowledge and figure out ways to curtail building of the Seahawks again, right? Like that team was almost 99 overall across the board and won 4 Super Bowls in a row. It's because the dude figured out how to build teams and was winning awards and was going deep in the playoffs because he's a great skilled player and he was just killing it. And figure out a way, how can we drive to content? And so we're going to curtail the XP that you get in game and really boost up what you can earn with your content and with your effort and really award that more than just the stick skills, because we think that what you get in game just throughout the season through training is enough for stick skills, and we want to really award guys who are putting in the effort with content. So as part of that, Maniac put together this coach's top 20. So tell us about it. Where did the idea come from? How'd you put it together? And then unveil your 20th and 19th one.
All right. Well, basically the top 20 coaches of the NFL or the OMFL was birthed from the idea of the top 100 NFL players that the NFL Network releases in the off season. And I thought, I was thinking about how could I implement this, into the league, because I thought it was pretty neat to see the guys get unveiled, each day. I think they did like 5 at a time, but they would reveal them on NFL.com and kind of you kind of got to looking like, when's my guy going to come up? That's from my team. For the Cowboys. Where's my guys in all of that and stuff. And anyway, but I thought that would be kind of cool if we could add that to the league, because the league OMFL is a great place anyway, with lots of good content and stuff. And I thought, how can I bring people together, bring the guys together to kind of get motivated and kind of participate in a community-wide type of deal like this. And I thought, okay, well, let's do the coaches, and with the Hall of Fame classes that you guys kind of voted on and stuff. I thought, but let's get everybody involved. And so I come up and I say, okay, well, how I like to fiddle with Google Docs and stuff, and I got to working with that. And I said, well, I don't want guys to feel left out, because obviously, you do the top 32 guys or whatever, and you see 32. Well, somebody's going to get, maybe a little bit upset, that they're 32nd in the league and stuff. So let's just do the top 20. And anyway, whenever I rolled this out, the excitement that the guys were bringing in the chat and stuff really kind of pumped me up, because I thought, they're getting it, they see it. And it's something that, you don't just, you're not voting for yourself. You're voting as a peer for the guys around you. And, the criteria for it was to, you want to look at wins, but, that don't want to be the only thing that you look at when you're voting for the top 20 coaches of the OMFL. And, but you want to look at, how active they were with content, and the chat, and, how did they do with building their teams and offensive strategy, stick skills, different things like that and stuff. And wanted guys to incorporate that in with their selections. And anyway, it took off. We had 24 guys participate in the vote, which was really great. Wish we could have been 100%, but that was really encouraging for this to be in the first time doing this. And without further ado, the top 20, number 20 was actually revealed yesterday. And Mo, with his New York Jets, he was the number 20th coach voted by everyone in the league. and then on top of that, I kind of added another idea was rate the coach, and we kind of gave him a Mo's OMFL Madden rating, what I thought would be his coach rating in Madden. So guys seem to kind of like that, and congratulations to Mo for being on the top 20 list.
Can we talk about it for a second? Like, I got to say, like, that one came in much lower than what I expected. I mean, Mo was a guy that went deep into the playoffs the last couple of seasons. I love your honorable mentions also. Like, those were really great. But, I mean, Mo coming in at 20, I'll just be honest. I think I put him in the top 10 at least. Now, I think I understand why, right? Like, guys don't really know him very much. He's not super duper active. One of those teams, it's like, fairly average, maybe above average in the season. But something happens when that guy gets in the playoffs. He's able to go deep. He was in the OMFL Bowl 2 seasons ago. Went deep this year. Really really a good team. Was in the OMFL Bowl this year too, right? Like back to back. It was two back to. Yeah. That's right. We had a repeat of the Super Bowl. Beat the Bengals. Like this is a really good team. I know he gets some hits against him. It's definitely something we got to work with. He does like to put 8 in the box 90% of the game, which guys get really turned off by. But he's a super nice guy. He's given to the community. I like him. We got to work on the 8 in the box, whatever. Like everybody's got a little something they can work on. I'm just surprised this one came in so low.
Yeah, and there was, that was kind of the thing with this. I got to see the percentages of the votes and stuff coming in, and I was like, I was expecting him to be top 5, and with how the votes came through and stuff, this is where he fell, and to be honest, there was one last vote for number 20 that is what got him at the 20 spot. Without that one vote, we'd have had a 5-way tie for number 20.
Wow.
With those guys. So,
I love the rating too. I know that you were like, this is something I just kind of put in there. I love that. I think it ties in with Madden. I know you just kind of made it up yourself, but I think it's such a great addition to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not going to be as accurate with everybody because I don't know everybody, but I did get to play Mo because I was in the NFC East. I do know most of the guys pretty well in the league and stuff. So, but if there is somebody that comes up, I'm probably going to be asking somebody that may have played them a couple of times. Hey, how is this? How is that? But just stick skills, adjustments in game, awareness of what's going on in the game, their team building skill, defensive play calling, offensive play calling, and then their team content and activity with stuff. And I just came up with that and gave them an overall rating, and it seemed like guys were pretty turned on with that, and they were kind of excited about it. Like, well, what's my rating going to be if I made the top 20?
Yeah, I love it. Give us number 19.
All right, well, number 19 is another guy. Again, that some guys would think, well, he might not make it, but he had the votes in there. And he's a great guy, and we're going to reveal number 19 is Mr. Josh from the Buffalo Bills. He actually beat out Mo with a vote, or the other 5 guys, it would have been a tie. But he played really good in a league or in a division that was really tough. I mean, you had the Patriots, Dolphins. And then the Jets, he was always when he was plugged in, he was always a tough game. And Josh, his team, he had some really good strong spots, but there's also a lot of weak spots. But he was always there, with his team, really trying to improve them, and he never give up. And you like to see that from an owner, not to, you don't want to throw their hands in the air, and say, hey, I can't do this. But the one thing I kind of give a little bit of rib to Josh was that he's got the defensive end block shed down.
Yeah. Which we had a long conversation, it seemed like, last night about that.
Yeah, we did. And and the D line and stuff. If it does get banned or strained, whatever happens, I said we're going to make a motion to call it the Josh rule. But his overall rating that I would give him in Madden was stick skills 84, adjustment 75, awareness 82, team building 81, defensive play calling 83, and offensive play call 81, with team content and activity 75. He also gets an 80 overall. And so I just want to say congratulations to Josh. I know he was shocked in the chat that he made the top 20, and he was pretty excited. So, and we'll be revealing number 18 tomorrow. So be sure to tune in.
Yeah, Josh is one of those guys, and D-Wayne, you're real quiet today. I want to get your thoughts on all of this, but Josh is one of those guys that hit like just a personal rough patch and had to step away for a minute. Came back, and I think league-wise, we hit a little bit of a rough patch as we figured out some gameplay issues, but kind of on his own with conversations with me, and I'm sure many others that were kind of helping coach him through some things. His words, not mine, quote unquote, saw the light, right? It just kind of clicked for him, and he began to understand what we were trying to accomplish with FPR. Look, I know that we had a long banter last night, everybody in the chat. I don't know how we got on D-line use, but he seems to have a great attitude about it, and he understands why it is. Like, I have personal disdain for it, and I get what he's saying. Like, the learning curve here as far as gameplay is really tough, and so he just doesn't feel like he has the skills to move to another position, but doesn't mean I dislike his D-line use any less. Like, it is what it is. But one of those guys that really has changed his gameplay is he's improved his FPR averages every single season, and I think really does get what we're trying to accomplish here, and so I was super happy for him. Also, our coach of the year this year for this season, for season 79, and so congrats for him for making the top 20, for being coach of the year. D-Wayne, you've been real quiet. You know these guys better than anybody. What do you think about the top 20 and Mo coming in at 20 and Josh coming in at 19?
Well, I think 20 with Mo, and I think y'all both said it, is probably lower than he honestly deserved. But like I said, a lot of it is he is an owner who hasn't been here just a really long time. I couldn't tell you exactly how many seasons he's been here.
I think three or four, okay. not super long.
And like I said, if he's been here 4 seasons, 2 of his 4 seasons he made the OMFL Bowl. And I think he's a really solid owner. I think he does build a good team. I think the only disdain you could get from people per se about him is, like I said, he does put people in the box. His defense is a little unorthodox, and I think maybe people held that against him in the voting. But as a owner and player himself, I think it's hard pressed to find, a whole lot of people, that were better on the sticks and et cetera like that than Mo Deli. I think he's proven that, like I said, back-to-back AFC championships. He's knocked Sensberg off 2 years in a row, who we all know is one of the best best guys here on the sticks, and he runs a really great team. And I think you kind of have to, look at that in perspective. And I hope Mo Deli doesn't take 20 offensively for any reason. Anybody in this group is going to be a solid owner. But I do think if he'd have been here longer, I think he'd have moved up the list. Then we go to Josh, and it's hard for me to call him Josh because I call him Bomb.
Yeah.
But he's another guy who played in a same division as Mo Deli, but he played in the division this year that had the 2 teams in the AFC Championship in his division. He plays the Bills team that, out of the box, is not a great team. A team that he had to build, and I'm not mistaken, he was the Bills, then he left, if I'm not mistaken, and came back with the Bills too, right? For a team, and that's always tough, and I think Maniac can really touch on that, as when he came back to Patriots were in rough shape. Anytime you leave and come back to a team, they're not quite, it's an advantage being the same team for 6 seasons. You got your guys there. There's no craziness went on while you were gone. And I think he really stepped in and did the Bills some justice. He made them a competitive team. He was not a game you could go into. You couldn't mark on your calendar that was a W when the season started. It was going to be a tough fought game, the whole game. And I do agree with what you talk about the FPR, and we've had a few discussions about it, me and him about just this and something. FPR is not something that changes overnight. I think
Yeah.
that's the way we liked it to be. But most people are not. They just can't. You can't break habits that you've been playing with on Madden for years. And I think it's something that he showed that he's willing to work and get better at that. And you were talking about the defensive line. Uh, Man, that's a subject that's even touchy to me because as somebody who I only used the defensive line up until this Madden, um, I never ventured out, never tried to do anything else,
But you
and
changed.
I did. I
And
did,
and you became one of the best user linebackers that we had in the league.
I would, I'm no maniac or Tanner or or the other Tanner Ducks. I'm nobody like that. I really value myself as a run-stopping linebacker. Uh, I really just get in the way in coverage. But like I said, it is something I will tell you. I would tell Josh this or anybody that uses the defensive line. There's so much more you can do it from the linebacker position that you cannot do at the defensive line. And I think even you look at somebody like Mo in the Seahawks, he was a defensive line specialist too, and he ventured out and he just made his defense even more deadly with what he could do from. He actually played all positions in the secondary. I think it's something that guys are just going to have to. You're going to take a leap of faith. Me and Dawson, it might sound weird when I say we held hands and took that leap of faith, but we did. We both went from defensive line to linebacker, and that's the only thing we'd ever played. And I honestly wouldn't go back. I really enjoy playing linebacker now.
I'll say this about you, right? Madden 17, you were one of the toughest defensive linemen that we had here. But it could be combated. You could slide the line, you could leave a running back in, and me and you had these classic battles where I had to see which side you were going in, but something happened in Madden 18 that completely changed that. And I think you don't have to look any further that the sack record fell 5 out of the 6 seasons or 4 out of the 6 seasons. Like, it fell almost every single year. It got broke. Like, it just, and I'm worried because Madden 19 felt the little bit that I had felt the same when it came to user. And Maniac and I can talk about it. We spent gobs of hours trying 0 protection, 99 protection, dropping computer ratings, like going in and messing with their attributes and dropping them, and like nothing worked. It 100% was a timing thing. And I'm hoping that maybe Madden 19, when we get to really hit the lab and practice and play with it, that it will be different. But if not, we gotta come up with some kind of plan to curtail that. And I think that I've been fair in what we did in Madden 18, but a lot of leagues just flat out banned it. Like, just, you have to go do it. Now, I have tried. I've wanted to so many times, and the board just hasn't been 100% behind it, and I'm not going to go do things that the board is not 100% unless I'm absolutely positive that it is what we need to do. And the guys will support me in that. Like, not everybody was 1,000% behind going all Madden, but I was like, we got to do something different for this last season. It's driving me insane. And look, it wasn't a huge success, but it wasn't a huge failure either. But so when it comes, I don't know how we got on this Madden, the user defensive line soapbox for all of us, but it would have been a great strategy to talk last week when we were talking defense. I just think I point to D. Wayne when it comes to guys who went user D-line and forced themselves to learn another position, and he was successful in it. And I point to the fact that the sack record fell almost every single year.
Yeah. You were talking about that. You talking about me switching over, when he had, and you know how treacherous and horrible that was. I would not want to face that again. And like I said, this Madden, I'm hoping Madden 19 does kind of break that trend. I'm hoping we have a little more, even playing field of defensive line. But I am very excited. We'll get back to his list. I'm very excited to see this list, coming out and seeing how guys really ranked each other. And because, like I said, you've already had. I ain't gonna say Calm was a surprise to me. I know he was surprised to be in it. I think he's a really good owner, and I think he could have been a little bit higher, in my opinion. But I also, Mo Deli was a surprise to me. I think he could have been a lot higher. So we're in for some surprises as we go throughout this list, and it ought to be pretty interesting seeing it on field.
Yep, I completely agree. Maniac, you had something?
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, there's gonna be some eyebrows raised and thinking like, oh wow, but it's it was an eye-opening experience, I guess you could say. That to see the different opinions from guys. Like I said, 24 guys, none of them were the same. Everybody had a different opinion on what was first, what was second. And it's gonna be great to see it all unfold for you guys.
It would be so much work, and I definitely couldn't do it, but it would be fun to not only do this at the end of every Madden, and it's just like little break time that we take, but also it'd be super cool to either do a top 50 list of actual Madden players for that Madden. It would be awesome if we could do a top 20 list or whatever of Madden players every season, but that's just way too much work. But I love this idea. I love how you added in those 2 additions of, like, 'cause you could have made it real boring. You could have just said, oh, here's who got 19 and here's 2 sentences about that person, but you didn't. You added in, and that's something nobody talked about yet, but the best player drafted. I just thought that was awesome. And then the Madden ratings for that coach, like, again, superb job. Kudos to you. Definitely big shout out to you. Clap yourself, give yourself a pat on the back, and just great job. And I know everybody's super excited about seeing the rest of this.
I appreciate it. It's all for the community, so that's what it's all about.
Yep, lots of great things. So it seemed to be pretty popular on the last show. Let's talk a little offensive strategy. I was just watching some videos about things that will be different in Madden 18, and I will be the first to say that I don't do the very best. I don't watch videos on YouTube about how to get better at Madden, about gimmicks and tricks. I don't like. I know there's like these Madden books, ebooks or whatever that teach you certain adjustments and then make this play or that play work. Like I'm so OMFL focused and grown folks community focused. I really don't venture much outside of what we do on Twitter and the activity that we have on Twitter and a little bit of help that I do on Daddy Leagues. So watching these videos about some changes that will change in Madden 19 and the little bit of gameplay that I had with it, I'm super excited about what the offenses are going to look like in Madden 19. Rushing seemed, everybody as a whole had a completely different outtake on Madden 18 than I did when it came to rushing the ball. I just felt like I couldn't rush the ball at all. Like I struggled from the start. Like every adjustment we made, nothing seemed to help me. I couldn't find a running back. I should have had one of the best offensive lines. Just nothing worked. And I can tell you from playing it and from hearing everybody else's comments, running will be even harder in Madden 19. Now, I am excited about the player movement. We've talked about that. I think that will add some realism. Those like crazy bounce cutbacks, and like all that's going away. All that's going to be super realistic now. It's going to feel different. But let's talk some offensive strategy, not necessarily 100% Madden 19, but we can, we got to mess with it a little bit. We can talk a little bit about it. But when you think about your offensive strategy, and D-Wayne, I want to start with you. One of the most efficient offensive players. I am sad that you're leaving the NFC South, but I'm not sad that I won't see my defense giving up 8 yards a pop every single rush. But like just one of the most efficient offensive strategies that I've ever seen was playing you twice a year. I think I ended up being like 1 out of 12 against you this past Madden. It was terrible stuff. But what was your kind of offensive strategy going into each game, each season, and how you built your team?
Well, I don't want to give Maniac too much because he's always been a rival of mine, and so have you, Nate. I don't want to give y'all too much ammo against me. But no, I feel I've always been a fan of. I'm kind of unorthodox offensively just because I've never been a fan of spending a lot of money on a quarterback. I like a middle-ranged price quarterback on my team to deal with. I know that the Colts are going to be a little different because Luck's one of the most expensive quarterbacks in the league. So it'll be a different build, but I've always felt like building your offense, or at least, I'll just say offensive strategy building-wise, I like to build through the offensive line first. I think you got to get a good front five right there, and I really specialize mine in run blocking and impact blocking. It does not hurt my feelings to see my offensive line with 74, 75 pass block as long as they have really high run block and impact block, and that really helps me because a lot of people will overlook guys that don't have a lot of guys want that everything 80 above on all the way across. They want to have a good average. I don't care what the pass block is like because my whole offense is I want to run the ball against you. And as Nate said, or I think maybe Maniac last time we got on the thing is that you knew where I was going to run the ball. You just had to stop it. I'm going to run right up the gut. And I will try to throw you off a little bit with some finesse running, but I'm not a very pretty runner. I want to run it right up the gut, in between the tackles. Really, I would prefer to be in between the guards. And I think you run the ball and take care of the ball. I think if you can win the turnover battle, is one of the key parts of the game. I think if you win the turnover battle, that you put yourself in a position to win.
Yeah.
One of my best seasons this Madden, I think, and it didn't end up well because I still lost to Mo in the playoffs.
Everybody lost to Mo.
I think it was 3 seasons ago. I think the one a few times I was the #1 seed over Mo. I had 18 turnovers through 16 games.
Yeah.
I think if you can not turn the ball over, and I try to tell Dawson this all the time. Dawson's my strategy guy. We bounce stuff off each other, and so I tell them, I say, sometimes it's okay to punt the ball. It's okay to, on 3rd and 15, to run it up the gut and punt the ball. I think guys, just in general, and I'm talking about my strategy on the looking at others. 3rd and 15 is not always a good time to take a shot inside on your side of the field, throwing it and trying to get a first down. Sometimes you bite the bullet and you punt the ball, or something of that nature. And that's just the way I play. I feel like a very, very conservative run attack. I like to throw the ball. I don't throw the ball a whole lot deep. I don't really value speed on the receivers as much as I want somebody that can block and somebody that can run good routes. And that's how I build my team. I did have a fast guy on my team this last year, probably the fastest guy I've ever had, but he wasn't my #1 receiver. I just build my team on a solid, we were talking about Forbes earlier, to my high awareness, high play rec. That's what I want on my offense. I want a very smart, hard-nosed offense, run the ball, take care of the ball. And that's just the way I go. I'm not changing my philosophy when I play anybody. I'm going to play the same way. I'm going to run the ball the whole game. Unless it just gets out of hand and somebody's just really beating me up, I'm going to keep running the ball. And I think that's where, just speaking to the league in general, some of these guys are really, really good players, but they abandon their game plan way too fast. I was trying to think of who I used to talk to. I think it was Priest I talked to this year. Priest with what was his name? Goody, that running back he drafted last match.
Yeah.
And Priest is one of his most successful years is when he ran the ball with him 20 times a game. And I told Priest that. I told Priest that if you stick to your game plan, run the ball and pass off your run, you'll be a lot more successful. And I know Priest likes to air it out. I think somebody said that in the chat the other day, that Priest wants to air the ball. I think it might have been your top 20 countdown, honorable mentions, is Priest is not scared to throw the ball down the field. And in turns, that's a good thing. But in a lot of turns, that's a bad thing. Just because you're a really good runner with the ball, but you just rely on trying to throw the ball down the field 15, 20 times a game. And just my philosophy on it, I want to be a lot more conservative. And I think conservative wins games. Apparently, it didn't win championships this Madden, but I'm just going to stick to my guns, win or lose, and that's just the way I play. And I'm kind of anxious to see what both of y'all say on this one. I'm going to take notes on both of y'all since this is my scouting time right here.
So what are you looking at? You say you don't like to spend the money on a quarterback, but what are you looking at from a quarterback?
You can look at my last 2 Madden. You look at Madden 17, I ended up with Jimmy Garoppolo from you. I think they made 10, $11 million a year, which is at that time was a middle-of-the-pack quarterback. And this last time was Paxton Lynch for the last 3 seasons, if I'm not mistaken. He made about $7.5 million a year. I'm trying to look between that 6 to 12 million, at the most 12 million. I just feel like I can put money other places because my offense doesn't revolve around chunking the ball down the field. Now, Paxton Lynch was a perfect thing for me because he was just fast enough to where I could get a little escape out of the pocket if I needed to. He had 92 or 93 throw power, so if I did want to throw it deep, he could have it. But he had flaws in his game. But the way I play, conservative, running the ball, it hides a lot of those quarterback flaws. Now, I'm not saying go out there and get a 72 overall quarterback and try to win games. That's not what I'm saying. But you do. I can find a happy range if you've got the right stats about that 79 to 83, 84 overall. That's right before they get outrageously expensive.
So what are those stats? Like what are the
But
stats that you're looking for?
for my offense, it's going to be short, medium accuracy. I don't value throwing power as long as it's above like 88, 89. I can live with it. Some guys want 95 plus throwing power. That's just not the way I play. I'm not trying to take shots down the field all the time. And I've ran into moments where it's bit me on not having that throwing power. But 9 times out of 10, I can live with short accuracy, middle accuracy, and the deep accuracy needs to be 75 or 80. It needs to be enough to where if he does need to make a pass, that I still feel confident that I can make that play. But you can almost say I run more of a West Coast running offense that I would like to take passes that are about 7 to 15-yard passes at the very most 15 yards and run the ball and pass off that run. I want guys to have to dedicate to the run before I ever start passing on them. So with this one, like this next Madden, I'm gonna play with luck, and I'll probably be spoiled just like I was with Ryan. Some of my best passes I ever had were with Matt Ryan just because of how good he was. But I can't justify spending $25 million on a quarterback. And last Madden, I think I had it written down the other day on where the percentage I only spent 6.6% of my whole salary cap on a quarterback. That's not very realistic if you really want to look at that. But I did not spend very much of my cap, and on retrospect, I spent I think it was 20. No, I take it back. 3.5% of my quarterback, and I spent 11% on my running back. So I spent 3 times the budget on my running backs that I did my quarterbacks, and that just speaks to volumes of how I like to play. I like to have 2 to maybe 3 good running backs that I can spread the ball around and run the rock. And that's just why I don't value the quarterback position as much. I just don't feel like in my offense that I would dedicate 15% of my salary cap to a high quarterback.
So before we go over to Maniac and hear his strategies, what is your running back and your receiver outlook? Like, what do you, because you ran the ball so well. Now, I know you were kind of gifted some great running backs, but you also went out and got some. And receiver was kind of something we don't hear you talk about very often. What are you looking for in your running back and receiving positions?
Well, my running back corpse, I guess you'd say. And the Falcons, I was spoiled. I had Tevin Coleman for 6 seasons. I had Freeman for 5 seasons. It would have been 6 if I hadn't got the holy grail of running backs in Ezekiel Elliott. Everybody wants a speed back. I do like to have that third down back that can catch a pass out of the backfield, or like you said on the last one, on 3rd and 12, that I can run a halfback draw and can get the first down or get a few yards. But I do like to have a power back. I never had a solid power back this Madden like I would like. It's already in the works. I've really scouted through the Daddy Leagues rosters for Madden 19 on some running backs. I do like to have a power running back and a speed running back. And I really would like a third running back because injuries are so prevalent. I would like a third running back that could be a hybrid of both of those. Receivers, I think my last 3 receivers I had this last year were Ryan Switzer. I can't remember his first name. Is a Taylor from the Titans in real life.
Yeah.
And I had a rookie that I got from Dawson in the trade who was a speedster. But I'm once again, I'm kind of in the middle ground. I'm not paying somebody like Odell Beckham or somebody of that caliber. I can back that up. I never did re-sign Julio to a contract in any Madden I play with him. I love Julio Jones. He is a monster of a receiver. I cannot justify paying somebody the amount of money he wants to get paid. I kind of like that $6 to $8 million receiver, and I would rather have 2 or 3 good receivers than 1 superstar receiver. And that's kind of where I go with. I kind of like that 78 to 85 overall receiver that has decent speed, 88 to 90 speed, acceleration somewhere in there. But he's got to have good route running, and he's got to be a good run blocker. I know that might sound I'm critiquing my receivers, but I just can't overpay certain positions. I will pay for a running back, and I will pay for an offensive line. I won't overpay for a receiver, and I won't overpay for a quarterback. And I know that doesn't fit a lot of people's philosophies, and it probably would not be a very, in the NFL per se, I think most quarterbacks average $20 million plus.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Man, I couldn't do it. Now, if I had somebody like Drew Brees, I don't know, Nate. and Drew Brees is worth every penny he gets paid. But he would be very underused in a system like I run.
Yeah, just one of the most effective, efficient offensives that I had ever faced. Maniac, let's go to you. You had the Cowboys that you really built into a powerhouse. You just didn't have the time with the Patriots to be able to turn that team around to fit your playing style. But you were almost a little opposite of Dwayne, where you both like to run the ball, but man, you really would open it up, spread the ball around, and you did have those high-powered running backs that you would use. Now, I know that there was that one season where you were ready to kind of get rid of him, and you may have been the one who originally traded him away. But I think it was because you just stumbled upon some other running backs that were playing just as good and saved you some money. But you didn't shy away from Ezekiel Elliott. So what was your offensive strategy just about how you approach a game, how you approach a game plan, and then how you actually built your teams to fit your style?
Well, my game plan, my approach to a game was to come out conservative. I try not to be, revealing too much of my game plans in the first drive. I want to kind of sustain the drive with a run, set up my run, and then off of that look for the pass and stuff. And I was probably a little similar to Dwayne in some ways, because I really wanted to run the ball. But I was with Ezekiel. I was a little bit more of a finesse runner. Ezekiel was really good with the counters and even though I didn't run a whole lot of sweeps and tosses, if the line got out to the edge, Zeke had the moves that he could get down the field, and I would run the power some, but Ezekiel, the finesse type running and stuff, he was monstrous, especially the first couple of seasons in Madden 18 and stuff. Cowboys offensive line was come out of the box, and I think every one of the offensive linemen was superstar or three out of the five was superstar development and 90 plus overall and stuff. So that really kind of helped solidify what I was about as a Madden player, getting that run going in each game. And then for the pass and stuff, like I said, I would set up the run, and I would try to get certain runs out of certain formations to set up what would then be the pass. I didn't play a whole lot of play action pass because it seems like I would take sacks on those, trying to wait for the routes to get open and stuff. But I would do a lot of timing based passing with the guys that I had. I did trade for Julio and sent Des Bryant to the Falcons this season, and that was a really big pickup for me because Julio was a little bit faster than Des, and he was a little bit stronger at the point of catching the ball at the point of attack and stuff. And then I had the guy, Terrence Williams, that could kind of stretch the field a little bit in this Madden. He had a decent amount of speed, but he was also kind of what I would like to call a tweener. He could be a possession receiver, but also could stretch the field against certain defenses and cornerbacks and stuff. But that was my philosophy: come in, try to be vanilla as possible, kind of lull the other opposing coach into thinking, this guy's kind of basic and stuff, and then all of a sudden, I would try to come with I might do 2 or 3 passes in a row and then hit the run. Just anything I could do to get the other coach kind of off balance to where, okay, well, then they started guessing. Once they started guessing, that kind of played more into my hands, and I was able to really take over a lot of games in those first couple seasons.
So when you think about your Cowboys team that you kind of out of the box was really ready to go, but then a Patriots team that you were really turning around and trying to rebuild, what are those key positions that you just need on offense, and what are you looking for at those positions when it comes to attributes or specific types of players that you need to plug and play?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, I'm a hog guy. I got to get the hog mollies up front. And it seemed like this Madden that the center was a very key component to how your offensive line played. I didn't have a real great center with the New England Patriots. Um, he was all right, but he wasn't really great. And I think that played a lot of the effect that the way the line didn't play well for me going. I tried to do some change ups and stuff with guys and stuff, but it just didn't work. But what I'm looking for, for as players, positions, stuff like offensive line is where I concentrated probably 80% of my training in each week because I wanted to build those guys up because if I could get those guys to solidify the line of scrimmage, then I could work with an 80 overall running back or I think the one guy that I had, George, which I picked him up in the last season for the New England Patriots, and closer to the end of the season, he started kind of getting back to the way he was with the Cowboys. Picking up 5-10 yards a pop, and so if you solidify that offensive line, I'm looking for run block power, passing. I really those are the two main things that I really focused on was run block power and passing. Uh, the ratings and stuff. I wanted to at least be somewhere in the mid 80s. That to me was a guy that I could really work with my game plan. If I got those guys, then I wasn't so pressed with the rest of my skill positions. Like I did have Dak and Dallas, but in New England I had Savard, I think is how you say his name. I'm not sure exactly, but he was a Madden generated player. But he was decent. He went down, but the offensive line wasn't set up for what I needed, and my guys struggled, and it showed my gameplay. I couldn't get the run going, and then I got in those long down situations where I felt like I had to pass the ball, and then that's when I would give up the sacks, and it was really tough, but it also allowed me to kind of step back and say, okay, this is where my focus need to be, and I really feel like if I could have had another season or two with the Patriots, I could have really turned them around. Running back, again, probably the main thing that I need from a running back, not so much top end speed. If I had 89 to 90 speed, but I wanted acceleration where they could get going quick. Again, I was more of a finesse runner, but I needed to get to the hole quickly because my offensive line was not going to be powering and pushing guys out of the way. I needed those guys to open up the hole. I needed to see where the hole was and get to it quickly and get out and down the field. Wide receiver, really, route running was a big thing. Catching traffic, those were some of the top things I look for because if they can get open, get away from a guy, they don't have to run away from him. But if they give me that 4 or 5 yard window where I get the ball to them, then that helped me solidify keeping the ball going, keeping drives moving, and making those first downs. That was my whole outlook of how I prepared my offense.
Yeah, and I think that's something both of you did really well, just having the long, sustained drives that really would just wear your team down, and then you'd have to start guessing about how do I stop this. And I think, look, I don't think many offensive strategies sway from the norm, right? Like I'm a speed guy. Everybody's a speed guy. Even people say they're not speed guys. You're a liar. Shut up. You're a speed guy. Everybody likes speed. But at certain positions, like I agree with you, Maniac, I didn't absolutely have to have it, right? When I think about my teams, I try to build them from the inside out. I was a big, and I always will be, like I'm a big Sean Payton, New Orleans Saints fan, and so when I think about my offensive line, it's from the inside out. I love having two big, heavy stud guards. Like, I really want that. I'll even, now this Madden have changed because they put in the little addition where your center kind of affects the whole line, but in the past, like, give me 2 big stud guards and I'll deal with a lesser center if I have to. But I really tried to build my offensive line inside out, starting with the center. I want 2 big stud guards, and I'll deal with lesser tackles if I absolutely have to, if I got to make that sacrifice. But I'm going to go out and I'm going to spend my money on offensive line. Now, I personally felt in Madden 18 that you didn't get a lot of return for your money on offensive line. It was hard to, it was just the studs at offensive line just weren't there like they were in Madden 17. And I try to pride myself on building a very good offensive line. Where I tend to struggle is I will spend my money on big-time skilled position players. I spent a lot of money on McKinnon at running back this past Madden. It didn't pay off at all. I just couldn't do anything with him. It was a waste of money. And I will go spend money on the quarterback position. Now, I do like a quarterback personally with some escapability. Not that I'm going to go run that ball, but I love being able to run, 3 or 4 read options to mix it up in the run game. I love being able, if a guy's going to zone me all game, I can move around in the pocket. I can maybe pick up those big first downs with my quarterback, and I had that this past Madden. It took me a little while to get him, but I finally was able to find that. And then when I think about running back, that's where I've struggled over my Madden career, right? I tend to go speed heavy. I just don't play well with those like Mark Ingram type players, right? Mark Ingram's going to have 86, 87 speed. He's a big baller. Now, it may change a little bit more in Madden 19. The little bit I played, it felt like it changed where a slower stud, big back that's hard to take down actually played like that. But in Madden's past, I got to have a speed guy. I got to hit that hole quick. Not that I run tosses and stuff. I mean, Dean Wayne can speak to this. 90% of my runs are going to be between the tackles, even between those guards. But I still need a guy with some speed. And I really struggled being able to find that player this past Madden. But receiver is one of my favorite positions. It's what I am at heart. It's what I played growing up. It was receiver, and so it's my favorite position to draft for. I feel like everybody feels like they're quote unquote experts at finding certain positions at certain spots. But receiver is one of mine. I feel like I can draft really well at receiver. I feel like I'm able to find the players that I need at receiver in the draft, late in the draft, 4th, 5th, 6th round. And they're usually going to be some guys with some kind of size to them. They don't need to be 6'6", but 5'11" to 6'2" is the range I like to be in. But they absolutely have to. They got to have some 90 speed. I like them 92 or greater. Most of my guys were in that 91, 92 range. But they have to be able to run block. I know Dean Wayne brought that up. My guys have to be able to run block. I mean, Forbes was 77 run block by the time he retired this past Madden. And that's my guys have to block. Because if I do run a counter, a toss, a sweep, whatever, I want my receiver out there laying down some blocks, right? I want him opening some holes and taking what, might be a 5 or 6 yard gain and turning it into, a 25-yard touchdown run, right? So, yeah, I think that I won't spend a ton of money on receiver. I'm not going to go. I'd love to have Odell because I'm an LSU fan, but I'm not going to go spend the money. I'm not going to go put 10% of my cap into receiver. I do feel like I can cheap it like Dwayne does on quarterback. I feel like I can cheap it at receiver. When I think just about my strategy, right, I really like to have those thinking man game, right? I know a lot of people will try to come out and establish the run the first drive. I think I've changed away from that. I've swayed away from that. I try to go 50-50. Some drives I'm going to try to establish the run. Some drives I'm going to come out and I'm going to try to establish the pass because I know that you're going to stack the box. When I play Dwayne, right, I know that he's trying to stop my run. He's trying to force me to punt, get that ball back, and really change that possession favor over to him for the rest of the game. So those games I may try to come out, hit a couple like maybe drags or slants for some quick first downs, and I'm trying to look for other ways to establish my team. I just want to get a sustainable drive that first one. It doesn't even have to end in points per se. Points are great, but it's got to be sustainable in some form or fashion. I got to have it sustainable in some form or fashion, and touchdowns are awesome, but I got to have some other type of plays that come out. I'm kind of stuttering here a little bit because I got my kids running around the place, but and they're kind of taking some of my attention away. I love to have that thinking man's game, though, right? If a guy's going to man to me, right, I'm going to try to run some post, maybe some out routes, maybe some comeback routes, right? Those are going to be my main ones that I'm really running. Here's what I kind of love, and D. Wayne said this on the last show, and I wanted to kind of have a conversation about it, but like when guys like, you see the same defenses over and over. You see the same routes over and over. But if you really think about it, there's only like 5 routes you can run. There's only like 4. Right. There's only like 4 defenses or 5 defenses you can run. Like it's not that they're running too much of the same thing. They're just running it too often. They're going to the well too often, right? Like, there's slants, right, there's comebacks, curls, comeback and curl, same thing. Crosses, out routes, again, basically same play. They just go opposite direction. Drags. We kind of take, go routes, 9 routes, whatever you want to call them, fly routes. We kind of take those out of the playbook a little bit, but you got those. Like, there's only 4, 5, 6 routes that you can actually run. So I like to really, mix that up. My entire strategy is I want to establish the run. I want to figure out a way to eat up that clock. I want to figure out a way to really keep the game under my control where I get to control the pace. I think where I've struggled is when you play the D. Waynes of the world, when you play the Collins of the world over the Tanners in the NFC South, Bill when he was there, is that staying really loyal to the run doesn't always pay off because they're going to shut it down all game long. Their players are better. That defensive lines are really, really good. And I always would turn it on too late. I'm a passer at heart. I'm a receiver at heart. That's where I like to really get creative, right? I love to mix up the routes. I love to run different combinations, different formations. If you play me, you're going to see, 10, 12 different formations from, single back. I'm a pro style guy, so I'm going to run a lot of different single back formations, 2 tight ends. I'm going to run a lot of strong, a lot of weak, a lot of I formation. I'm going to sprinkle in maybe some I'm skipping the name in my brain, but some full formations where you got 3 running backs in the backfield. That's what you're going to see when you play me. And then when we go shotgun, I'm going to spread you out, right? I'm going to really try to get my playmakers on the field. I'm trying to spread out your defense. I'm trying to make some room, so I'm making those reads a little bit easier. But there's, again, nothing better than having that classic back-and-forth chess match of a game where you're really having to think through, right? They're blitzing me a lot. They're shutting down my run. I'm going to have to open it up. I'm going to have to go pass heavy. I'm going to run some slants, right? I'm going to run some comebacks. I'm going to run some quick plays to quickly get that ball out of my hand. Okay, they're zoning me now. I need to run some draws. I need to run some up the guts. I need to establish this run. Maybe I'm going to start running in some drags from time to time, trying to suck up those corners. A lot of cover 2, right? This is my problem with cover 2 is the way that you should be able to beat a cover 2 is that they're going to draw up those 2 cornerbacks on each side. You should be able to run some post outs, some fly routes, some go routes, maybe some deep out routes that should beat that cover 2. My problem with cover 2 has been that those cornerbacks actually don't play that short zone. They actually follow that receiver unless there's multiple routes coming into that zone. And so now you got to start running the same type of play to beat it, right? You got to start running multiple routes into that short zone to get that cornerback to draw up so that you can hit that deeper play. It just, again, I have a thing about cover 2, but we're talking about offense. So that's kind of my strategy, and that's why I think that it's interesting to hear how you two kind of build a team and where you like to spend your money. I think everybody, us 3 at least, are in agreement that we want to spend that money up front, right? And we want to have those dynamic lines. And I think that just thinking about the defensive talk that we had last week, looking at the teams that were really dominant this year, whether it was you with the Cowboys, Dwayne with the Falcons, Dawson when he was with the Rams in Madden 17, the Seahawks, Mo. It was dominant defensive lines, dominant defensive ends that got after the quarterback and really were able to make plays. Even Colin with the Panthers when he was really good this past season, it's because he had such a dominant defensive line. So I think that's where you spend your money on those positions. You grow. I like to grow those skill positions out from the draft, from free agency. I don't like to spend a ton of money. I did it this past Madden on running back, but usually I don't spend money on running back and receiver. I'm going to grow some homegrown talent there. I'm going to spend my money on quarterback. I'm going to spend my money on defensive or offensive line. I'm going to home grow a tight end. We didn't even talk tight ends today, but everybody likes the same type of tight end, right? We need a guy with speed that can block and make all the plays, right? Like we all want the same type of tight end. But we didn't talk about fullbacks either. I love fullbacks. I have to have a fullback.
Oh, yeah.
I do like to spread people out, but I'd like to have that fullback. So if I get blitzed, if I get that insta shed, I have one more layer of protection, hopefully, that will allow me to still make something out of that play, right? If that defensive end or that defensive tackle busts loose, that linebacker's coming through the gap, I got a guy that can step up and just pop him in the mouth, right? And at least buy me a second to see, do I need to go left? Do I need to go right? Is this play dead? Like, what can I do here? I love to spend money on fullback, and you're not going to spend a ton of money. You can usually get them pretty cheap. You can home grow them. I almost took him as my import. I think I picked both of your brains about my import this season, but I found a guy in like the third round this past draft that had like 90 impact blocking, and he wasn't super fast. I don't need him super duper fast. I don't want him super slow in the 60s because I need him to get out of my way. But, high 70s, mid, 76 to 83 makes me really, really happy. But I want a thumper. I want a guy who's going to hit the hole and just buy me a second, right? Like just give me the opportunity to make that read. So it's just fun to talk offensive football, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, we have reached the end of our show. I want to make 4 quick pitches, and then I'll let you guys put your bow on the show. The first one you guys kind of seen as you were watching the screen. I was putting up some different things as we were talking through. The first one is I want to push the Redbubble website again. I put a tweet out there. Again, I'm going to do a much better job of pushing these this year. If you give a donation to our community over $100, you will get the custom shirt of your choice. But Redbubble does shirts, sweaters, pullovers, phone cases. Somebody bought a phone case this week. iPad covers or tablet covers. You can buy sheets and clocks. Like there's all kinds of super cool stuff. We have a grown folks one up there, the wrestling one up there, the golf, the H1Z1, NBC, the FIFA Pro Team, and of course the OMFL, OMFL2, OMFL Coach Mode. You can see all the different artwork. You just kind of pick your logo that you want, and once you pick that logo, it's going to pop up with all the different items that you can actually buy. You can see here's in the OMFL one. I almost got me a hoodie. I may still get me a hoodie because I'm constantly wearing sweaters here, but phone cases and skins, laptop skins, iPad skins. You can buy cups and clocks, mugs, bags. I don't know what a studio pouch is, but they have those. Journals, notebooks, stickers, like all kinds of really cool things that you can buy, and we have them for all the leagues. If you want one that's not up here, please hit me up. We'll design one. I've kind of picked the brain for those of you in the GFW. If you even watch this is an OMFL show, but I'm trying to design some neat designs for those shirts. We even put up H1Z1 because I know Pootie T was asking for that the other day, so there's even an H1Z1 that's up there. There's lots of really cool things that you can buy, and the money, some of the proceeds do go towards the league, so we do make money off of these. So make sure you check out the Redbubble. If you're in the chat, ! T-shirts, no dash, just T-shirts, one word, will bring up the link for this, and plus the Twitter's up there. The other quick things that I also want to push really fast are the other things that you see me post up here. First, there's an advertisement for the grown folks community with all of our leagues. This is something Maniac and I just went back and forth, back and forth. We tried 100,000 different designs. Maniac was putting in so much work. I think I finally found what it is that I want. I don't love it, but it's still a neat graphic that represents everything that we are. I may tweak it some more, work on it some more. Maniac's also kind of helping me with graphics around here. But help us just push our community as a whole and just push everything that we got going on here. And then, of course, there's a really cool one that I absolutely love after many different iterations of this is one for the OMFL. It shows who we are. We were League Crawler League of the Month back in Madden 17, League of the Year for Madden 17, and League of the Year for Daddy Leagues in Madden 17. Plus, we're the world's longest active CFM established back in 2001 PC days. So it's just an easy way that you can help us promote what we do. And when you see us post things like this, please help us get out there. And then the last one that I want to cover are these really cool graphics on your screen right now that Maniac has been making for Madden 19. I even had him make me one for my profile picture. Just super cool, neat little graphics with your team on them, and he'll even make you one for your profile picture. Plus, we have the old ones. If you really are into the old ones that you see on the forums, so if you go to the forums and you look at a post, you're going to see these really neat. I'll bring up mine, little avatars that I made. If you like any of these, we do have a thread. You can get a signature item with your team, and I'll custom make them for you. We do have a thread for the OMFL, but if you're in other leagues and you'd like us to make some for you, I can easily get that done. Just hit me up in a PM and get that out to me. So really help us. I want to promote those 4 things that are out there. I really appreciate all the hard work Maniac's giving us right now. I know that life is probably going to get busier for him once school gets here, so I just appreciate everything that he's getting out there. It's been a great show. We got to talk some top 20, some Hall of Fame, some offensive strategy, even went off on a little defensive line usering issues that we got out there. So lots of fun stuff. Maniac, put a bow on the show.
Hey, it's been really great talking about the offensive strategy and hearing from you guys, what you're looking at, how you build your teams, and again, then it's really been an awesome privilege to see the community's excitement about the top 20 of the OMFL coaches, and I'm looking forward to revealing all the rest of those up until the day Madden 19 releases for everybody. So let's keep it going, guys.
Yeah, it's been absolutely awesome, man. I appreciate you doing that. And keep the ideas coming, guys. The only thing I will say is we are not short on ideas. We are just short on manpower. And so if you have an idea, take that idea and run with it. Make it happen. I will gladly teach you and get you access to anything that you might need to make that happen. But I believe in you. Add to the community by actually taking some of these great ideas on your own. Outlaw is never short of ideas. Outlaw, if you want an idea, go ask Outlaw, because Outlaw's got tons of really great ideas. Just doesn't have the time to be able to pour into this just yet. But we just need more manpower. Dwayne, put a bow on the show, my friend.
Well, you were talking about tight ends and fullbacks. I don't think either one of them got enough recognition really this whole Madden. I think we actually in Madden 17 we ran into where tight ends were probably used a little too much sometimes. Tight ends never did break through that threshold this time. I don't know if
it was pretty good.
As I say, it was used. It was, in my opinion, even underused some. I know my tight ends didn't get near the looks as I actually would like to give them.
There's a few minor issues, but overall, I think that this is the way we want it to be played, is the way it was played this past Madden.
Right. And fullbacks, you were talking about the fullbacks are very underrated because, some teams don't power run like I do with the fullback in the backfield every time. And from a guy who liked to throw to the fullback once or twice a game, as I would know a defense, there's nothing more frustrating than seeing me get a 12-yard gain with the fullback on a little out thing. I loved using my fullback, and I think fullback is a key. And the one you drafted, I was really upset because Dawson was drafted for me that night, and you drafted him like a few picks before me.
Yeah, I did.
And the one I got was a decent, but he was not the one that you drafted. But yeah, I'm excited.
I'll even say this before you give me the rest of your thoughts. I was almost selfish enough to take Outlaw's idea of giving everybody 2 imports so that I could have him. But then I remembered how much work it is to do imports. And I was like, nah, I can't do it.
Well, I couldn't knock that. Like I said, I think most guys could find two guys that they would love to bring. I know I could.
Oh yeah.
I would have a secondary full of safeties brought over. Um, but yeah, I think I'm excited. Kind of like you said, man, we got a lot of ideas. We got, it's really going to be stretched out, especially the first of this Madden, because man, there's a lot of work to do, a lot of research to be done, imports brought over. I give a shout out to Bill. Bill's did a lot of work with the. I'm trying to think of the word for it.
The
skill
import,
caps.
yeah, the skill caps. That's a perfect word. Yeah, he has.
And Bill's did a lot of work on that. But like I said, everybody in general, man, you just gotta. There's a lot of work put in that I guess I think that people don't see. And I'm not trying to speak about myself because when it comes to the board, I probably put the least amount of work in. I think I'm just HR sometimes.
That's not true.
But I am. I guess you say I'm the OMFL greeter. I'll just say hey and smile to you. But these two right here, Maniac and Nate, put a lot of work in that that people don't know about. And even you look at like Chaotix and Colin and Bill and Dawson. They put a lot of work in. And I think Chaotix didn't get a lot of credit sometimes. The FPR sucks. I just want to say this: when I say sucks, it sucks being the FPR guy.
Yeah.
Because nobody really likes to see you pop in their inbox. I remember when I first started, it was Brady was FPR, and I was scared to see Brady or Chaotix jump in my inbox. And so I know from that experience that that's not a fun job that he has to do, but somebody's got to do it, and Chaotix does a real good job of it. Guys, I'm just excited to get this next season. I'm really excited to get this next season started. It feels like it's been too long since Mo let me win a championship. So I'm ready to kick this off and have another wonderful season.
Yep, lots of heroes in this community, in this league. I really do work hard on trying to make sure I talk as much about the board members and the guys who give to the community and give to the league as much as I should, and probably way less than what they deserve. And yeah, FPR is not fun. People get super defensive, and nobody really likes to say, you know what, you're probably right, and I'm going to work on that. Or they say that just so that you'll leave them alone, and they actually don't work on it. But, again, final thoughts from me is each of you will be getting a personal invite back that you get to decide. Like, it's no assumptions that everybody's coming back. If this isn't for you anymore, I want to respect that. But everybody will get a personal invite back. Some of them will have some, I don't know what continuancies on it, right? Like some things that you got to work on for me before we move into Madden 19, because I know there are like Chaotic tries, and he does. He's gotten so much better about how he handles people and talks to people, and he tries to be super soft and respectful, and he is. He does it, but also like. He gets tired of hearing about the same guys. And I think that's the next growth area for us as a league, is that it does seem to be like the same five, culprits that get the same rough FPR, the same conversations a zillion times over. And we're trying to make it easier. Again, we talked about on a couple of shows ago, but use Coach's Glass and give timestamps. If you don't, then we're not going to go watch a 2-hour game because we have nothing better to do. I just can't keep asking people to do that. You got to do your work if you're going to give a complaint. And if you're like, oh, it's too much work, and you're not going to give a complaint, then you have no right to complain about the guy that you were going to complain about, right? You can't come back, well, that guy does the same thing over and over, and you guys do nothing. Well, no, the actuality is that you won't do your part to help us, and since you won't do your part to help us, you expect us to do everything. And it kills guys, right? It does that. Yeah. The FPR is one of the toughest positions to handle. Hell, I'll be honest, I'm surprised I haven't retired by now. Like it gets tough running these things sometimes, and we need the owners to do their part. And if you guys aren't able to do your part or don't want to do your part, then maybe this community isn't for you. But I don't believe in that. I believe that we got a bunch of guys that want to be here and that want to do their part. So help us make sure that you do your part by giving timestamps about specific ones. Use Coach's Glass about broad ones, and try to save the board and Chaotic or whoever's going to be running FPR for Madden 19. Save them a little bit of time so that they don't have to spend every ounce of energy just doing that, not able to just enjoy the game, get better at the game, and do other things than sit there and watch videos all the time. We all have, significant others. We all have families and jobs. We all have other things that have to get done. And you know what? Sometimes we just want to play other games and have fun being a regular person. So help us out by doing your part. So, guys, thank you so much for giving me part of your Saturday. I'm going to shut this off and go sit by the pool with my kiddos. I will be traveling next week, so Dwayne and the board and all these guys are in charge. And I will be around at night, but I will be traveling for work Monday through Thursday night. I'll be back late on Thursday night, like midnight, so technically Friday morning. And I'll be back full blow next Friday. So it's been a lot of fun, guys. Thanks for spending some of your Saturday here. I can't wait to do some more talking about Madden 19 and about what the changes are coming. So on the next show, we'll talk about some FPR changes that might be coming. We'll talk incentive plan. And then, of course, we'll sprinkle in some more Madden talk. Maybe I get these guys to talk about their roster building ideas a little bit more so I can learn how to get this done. Dwayne, Maniac, thank you guys so much.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, Nate.
All right, everybody, we will see you next time. Peace.